fucking believe it, dude. We finally did it. After all this time talking about it, planning it out, doing dumb things like trying to figure out how many command strips it takes to hang up framed posters, trying to figure out how to afford expensive equipment when you don't have a lot of money while balancing a marriage and a sub-level apartment and dealing with sub-level people in your life. It doesn't matter. Because Classless Bastards episode 1 starts now, and we fucking did it. Here's to hoping. This is the first of many. To those of you who don't know, I'm Brett Porter. Joining me today, my childhood best friend, Nick Bull. And to those of you who are fans of the Mirth Films outlet as a whole, Classless Bastards is going to be a totally less serious podcast coming to you guys, airing every Friday at 7 on our YouTube channel, but you can listen to it in any place you can listen to podcasts, whether that's Spotify, iTunes, dude, I bet SoundCloud. I bet we're on SoundCloud somewhere between two, like sandwiched between two, like rural white rappers.
I don't know about you, but I've been on SoundCloud for about 10 years. Waiting for my career to take off.
Dude, I heard one of your mixtapes has like 101 views right now.
It almost burned my house down.
Have you let the success go to your head?
Yeah, absolutely.
Has it affected your relationships at all?
I say no, but everyone else says yes. So who's really the problem? Is it me or is it everyone else?
I suppose you're asking a good question. I guess that's one for the thinkers out there. Are any of you guys aspiring musicians, SoundCloud rappers, slam poets, stand-up comedians, anything that involves the art realm? Are you a starving artist? Has it impacted your relationships with your loved ones? If so, dude, we would love to hear it. In the description to this video, I will leave my personal email address where you can tell me about how you, aspiring to be the step above a starving artist, a well-fed artist, you can tell me how your struggles have impacted the life around you. And we will keep your name out of it, but we may or may not read it on live air in future episodes. And speaking of future episodes, after this episode, the tentative plan is we're going to get guests to come in to kind of, prevent this from being repetitive, because although Nick and I have lived a lifetime of almost 27 years of dumb things, it would get old after a while. So the goal is that I'm going to widen the frame just enough for one more person to fit back here. I'm going to buy a third office chair just so we can
really get this thing going.
Yeah, so we can really get this thing going. Consider this nothing more than a pilot. A good pilot? I fucking hope so. Because we are about 2 minutes in, and I'm already feeling good. I was listening to some Bong Ripper. Bong Ripper is this stoner metal band, as you could probably guess. They have a song called Endless, 15 minutes long. And
it's called Endless?
It's called Endless.
Oh, Endless.
Endless, like without end. So I was listening to that. I was listening to that as I was getting ready. And I told my fiance, I said, Taylor, listen, man, I'm in podcast fucking mood right now. If you see my eyes kind of turn like a strange aura of blue or red or something, it's not you. I'm really just getting into this because this is something I've talked about for a while. It's something I wanted to get off the ground because, for one, I give a shit about Mirth Films. I mean, Frankie took me under his wing, and I'm kind of like I'm his fledgling who he just pushed me out of the nest like a week ago and said, hey, fly or die, dude.
And I would say this is the easiest and probably the most comfortable way for you to start running one separately,
Yeah, exactly. If I was doing this by myself, I mean, I'm already sweating, but if I was doing this completely by myself, God, dude, I would be running out of content. I would be just drawing at straws for anything that could come up, some kind of dumb topical shit.
You'd have to walk the streets of Glens Falls just to get your next story.
Yeah.
It wouldn't take that long, though.
Dude, it wouldn't. I mean, that time you walked home from court one day, and you reminded me again of what this dude was walking past. You sent me a video of God's honest truth, I don't remember. What the fuck was up with that guy?
Well, he was walking down the street with a bandana tied around his head, no shirt on, carrying a tree. Now, a small tree, mind you, but it was definitely a tree, not a stick.
Are we talking like a potted plant?
It was potted at one point, I would assume, or but there were roots coming out of the bottom. He was using it almost as a walking staff. And he kept saying, the mantra is the message, or the message is the mantra, over and over again. So it must have been the message is the mantra, because that's his mantra.
How did that not hype you the fuck up?
It really terrified me. I'm glad he was walking the opposite direction.
Dude, all it would take is one extended period of eye contact before you find yourself a fucking straggler.
I would just be worried as to how he would try to attack me with that tree.
Dude, there's a lot of ways, man. People can get creative once the branch is off the tree. Dude, there's a generation of people who had to pick their own stick off the tree just to get hit with it.
That's true. Maybe that's what he was doing. Maybe he was headed back home.
Yeah, he was just trying to discipline his slew of children, reminding them that no matter what the mantra is, the message is you're getting your ass whooped. Damn right. Next time, pick up your fucking dick. Oh, God. But we do have a lot to talk about, at least in some kind of a tentative state. To those of you who can see past Nick's right shoulder, in commemoration of launching a sister podcast to Mirth Films, Cheap Flights and Cornbread, our animator, your friend of mine, John Hughes, made us a cheesy movie poster. I told him, I said, I want it to be the worst looking movie poster ever. I want it to be so cheesy and sci-fi.
And I want to pay you money for it.
It was like, I want to pay you money for it. So his parameters were worse than the Avengers. I'm like, way worse. And that's saying something.
We don't have that kind of budget here.
Yeah, no. Dude, who do you think I am? Who's the guy who did Michael Bay? Who do you think I am? Fucking Michael Bay.
Right.
We're just going to put an explosion here, an explosion here. Megan Fox is somewhere here with her toe thumb just trying to touch me with it.
Well, that's why you got a little bulge going on right
there. Dude, yeah. I was so happy. I was so happy Megan Fox wasn't there for this drawing.
Right.
What people don't know is actually we took a trip to orbit to get this drawn. Frankie made friends with some aliens for a brief minute until until these beings realized what a skateboard was. They thought it was some like piece of archival technology, but it's actually just
something people do to avoid getting a job.
Yeah, basically. But either way, these posters are on sale. The proceeds from this are going to be split between my wedding coming up November 4th and upcoming Mirth Films ventures. We do a lot of dumb things. Some of those dumb things cost money. But it's all in the name of creating good content for you guys. You don't have to write us under that category. We will get there eventually. But if you want it as is, $10. If you want it signed by myself or Nick or both of us, $15. You want it framed, $20. And we did get one special request that I just fulfilled right before Nick and his wife got here.
I was hoping you were going to wait for me to get here.
So you can see it? Yeah. I wish, and I thought about it, and we were really just minutes apart from each other. But someone asked me to dip my penis in chemical-free, skin-safe paint and stamp the poster with it. I will let you know now, I'm never doing that again. If you cannot see, there's still some blue left on my hand from trying to wash it off.
Yeah, he had to scrub it really.
I like there's very few things that are as sexually unsatisfying as scrubbing your dick just to get paint off of it. There's no date coming up. There's no.
You had to throw out the whole piece of steel wool afterwards.
Dude, yeah. It doesn't work well with cleaning up blood, I learned, and that's something that we're just gonna have to get better at as we go. But it's okay. Because just like everything else, the best is yet to come. I might have already. But yeah, so that's the first order of business, I think, underway. To those of you who don't know the extent of Nick and mine's relationship, we go back to, I believe, kindergarten. I think kindergarten was when we first crossed paths.
Did you go to pre-K?
I didn't go to pre-K. No, pre-K is for single moms or for people who have parents that both work and don't have a grandmother that cares that much.
Right.
So I was lucky enough that my parents both worked, but my grand was awesome, so she got to watch us. And I don't know what I missed in terms of developmental state from not going to pre-K, but I learned how to count fine. I could write my name before going into kindergarten.
Wow.
I was actually a member of Mensa up until the time I was age 11. I won 5th place in a regional spelling bee when I was 12. I was 9th in my class, and I can only imagine what heights I would have soared to had I just been fucking pre-K. And that's something I don't
probably would have been up to like 7th.
7th place, maybe third in the spelling bee.
Yeah.
Well, think about it this way. not to quote anything from Talladega Nights about Ricky Bobby, but they say if you ain't first, you're last.
It's true.
But like, let's think about it for a second. There's like 7 or 8 people who stepped on the moon. How many can you name?
I think there's like 11.
Regardless,
But anyway, yeah, I can name 2.
Neil Armstrong
And Buzz Aldrin.
Buzz Aldrin.
And then there's that third guy.
Yeah. Like there's
Do you know his name?
no, and I love it, and that's weird because I love trivia. I host trivia at different places during the week. You'd think that was something up my wheelhouse. I might make it a category moving forward just for the fun of it. But I don't know. Just yeah, fuck pre-K.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
getting back to the original point though, we just kind of I don't know how exactly we became friends, but we just started hanging out. You were like a half a mile down the road from my parents' house.
Well, I would say we became friends, and when I moved back from Argyle, I moved to Argyle at the summer between kindergarten and first grade. Moved back like right in the beginning of second grade, and then I got sat next to you in Miss Potter's class.
Hope she's doing all right. I
Yeah.
haven't seen her since Lord knows how long. Since at least the second grade. But yeah, then we just started hanging out, being boys. Just from there, we got ourselves into some dumb antics. To those of you who are not familiar with Nick Bowl and his place in my life and in the greater Mirth Films universe, Nick Bowl is the subject of 2 out of 3 episodes of the Classless Bastards cartoon series, which came out about 3 years ago. It's something that I really wanted to keep doing, but uh, John Hughes is a very good animator, and unfortunately, you have to pay very good animators very good animator money. It is not a knock against John at all. If I had a better financial situation, I would have made a Classless Bastards episode about the shower I took after cleaning off my penis from chemical-free paint.
Well, yeah, I mean, it can't be cost effective when you have zero money coming in from it, and what you're paying for each episode.
Yeah, yeah, and as I said, if things change down the road, so Joe Rogan, obviously, like the man of podcasts now, he has this affiliate. I think his YouTube name is Polytunes, but Polytunes would take a clip from the podcast and he would turn it into a cartoon. And they're pretty solid. You should watch at least one in your life
Is that how he came to become famous? Polytunes? Is that how he became known?
Yes, I believe so.
I almost can't hold a straight face saying Polytunes.
Yeah, he sounds like the character from Jersey Shore that they just left at the apartment.
Right.
It's like, hey, we're gonna go do a bunch of drugs, and we're probably gonna get laid, and we're probably gonna get into fights. Really love if you swept the floor.
He just sits at home all day DJing.
Yeah,
DJing in his room with the speakers on as loud as they can go.
yeah. Just
Playing to an audience of no one.
doing everything in his power to just try and compete with the sound of everyone else in the house having sex but him. It ain't easy being DJ Pauly Tunes, man.
Oh no, how could it be?
But
Someone's got to do it though.
yeah, exactly. There probably is in the weird world of self-branding and DJ titles, especially DJ titles. There's got to be a DJ Pauly Tunes out there, and I hope he's doing well. I hope he is one of the 2 rural white SoundCloud people that you could listen to before or after Classless Bastards episode 1, because we're always rooting for the little guy. At least while we're still the little guy, there's going to come a point where we stop giving a fuck. Where we're going to see these people.
Oh, you're not there yet?
No. I try to stay humble. I think probably by the end of the year, even if our channel growth doesn't warrant it, I think I'm going to start walking with a little bit of swagger.
Well, once you're married, man, it's like a whole other feeling. It's a lot. You just feel a lot more comfortable all the time. I feel like.
Yeah,
There's a lot less to worry about when you have like an equal partner to that you know will be there because they're forced to be there.
Divorce isn't real, guys.
There's no other option.
So, what is something that you wish you knew going into getting married that you learned post marriage? Well, I can't say post, during marriage. Can't say post marriage yet.
Well, in a less general sense, I would say I learned about me, things that really make me an asshole that I probably knew before, but you get told a lot more. There's always somebody there to really. There's always a mirror following you around, so to speak, and it's not a good mirror. It's one of those mirrors that makes you look really fat. So you always have that following you around. So I learned a lot about myself, and have been trying to curb my own foolishness, so to speak. But I guess in a more general sense, what I learned since being married, I mean, I don't know. I guess, like I said, it's just more. It's everything's more comfortable. It's just easier knowing that that other person's there. You're never like, if say you have a financial situation, a financial crisis, there's always that other person there for you. If you have an emotional crisis, there's always somebody there to support you through that. So,
Wow. I was really expecting this to just be some kind of deep dive into dark humor. That was very heartfelt.
well, she is in the other room. So.
She is, yes. The only thing separating us from our women is a wall, a table, and about $2,000 worth of studio equipment.
And I think both of the hacksaws are
Both,
out there.
both of them, yes.
So we're
Yes,
screwed.
just to fill you guys in and get break some of the fourth wall that goes into this.
Literally
This
break
office
the
chair-
fourth wall.
This office chair I've had for like 5 years, and I don't know why the hell I bought it. I think it was a Black Friday thing, but there was these weird plastic wings on the back, and if you could probably tell based on how close together Nicholas and I are, we're not working with a lot of space back here. So I called my boss at where I bartended. I bartended at Peter's Glens Falls. I called my boss, asked him if he had a handsaw. Well, he said, "What are you cutting through?" I said, "Well, hard plastic." He says, "No, you need a hacksaw." And I felt good knowing that I was led in a direction. But let me tell you, plastic is a fucking formidable opponent when you haven't used a saw many times in your life. And just to make it a little, I don't want to say shittier, shittier is the word, just make it a little goofier, like the whole sequence of events leading up to us shooting. I asked you for a hacksaw as well, and I get a call in the 11th hour that my boss Kenny has a hacksaw. Great, I'm gonna go grab that one. As I leave my apartment, I call you guys, and I was worried that it was gonna turn into like, well, are you fucking kidding me? I searched hand over fist for this.
I went and bought a
I went and bought a brand new one, and luckily that didn't happen. What instead happened was I got to take a look at the same hacksaw you used to gut that fucking deer that was
No, not
basically
cut it. I just cut its limbs.
cut its limbs off. Okay. The one you used to help dismember a deer that was basically taking up residency in your garage for a little bit,
A little while.
a little while. I haven't killed a deer yet, except for the one I hit with my old car. But that's, I mean, I think that happens to everyone. Once you get,
Right, I was there for that. Well, I wasn't there for that day.
but you were
I came to the
about
rescue.
200 feet ahead of me.
Yeah.
That's a story for a different time. There's certain things that certain legalese I know, such as statute of limitations, and I don't know what it is in regards to that whole night, but we'll let that sort of let that die down for a little bit. It was 2018, 2019, so it's not like it was super duper long ago, but I mean, it was just silly happenstance all throughout. We laugh about it.
So many dumb little things that, like, just off the top of your head, you wouldn't even be able to remember right now until a situation arises that makes it pop back in your head.
Yeah, I would imagine this is going to be one of those things where immediately after I hit stop record and I start editing this fucking thing, that 7 things are going to hit.
Right, man, I should have talked about that.
Man, yeah. Man, why am I not frantically scribbling on my fucking piece of notebook paper?
I was gonna say you found the smallest piece of paper you had in your house and wrote as much as you could on it.
Dude, I did. There's not a lot of white space left.
And then I have a normal sized sheet of paper with about 16 words on it.
Yeah, a lot of killer, very topical talking points that I'm excited to get through. But while we have a slight break in the action, I'd just like to thank some of our more recent sponsors. Paul Ryan, attorney at law. Sometimes bad things happen to good people. When they do, call Paul. Also, Smith Family Janitorial. Nick is slowly becoming the de facto patriarch of such group. One of 2 full-time employees. Providing
three,
three,
2.5.
2.5. Providing some of the best quality commercial level cleaning you can ask for out of such a small crew. Proud to say I worked there on and off, still kind of, through all of my dumb wishy-washiness of my existence. Chris and Tina are great people. I'm pretty sure Tina is going to help us with like the floral stuff for our wedding, something I know nothing about. Maybe like the centerpieces. Yeah,
Yep.
We're going to have really nice centerpieces.
Maybe something that goes like the length of the table, like a runner. Is that what they
A
call it?
runner?
I think they call it a runner.
I think you're
See, maybe that's what you learn when you get married.
Yeah. Yeah. God. Do we have anyone else to plug right now? No. That's the only downside about having, just for those of you people who are home. Let's hold up papers quick, just so you guys get an idea of me, the person who's been working with Frankie on these podcasts for almost, God, on and off since 2019. Versus this is now your second podcast you've ever been on. Third if you count the 24-hour podcast.
I certainly count that one.
That was a flurry of emotions. Every Shakespearean play has 5 acts, and that one had about 37. And
I was much less nervous for that one than I was for this one. I think I was a little bit looser that day. You know, I was really feeling good.
That was like 2 in the afternoon, and you just
went for a run that morning.
No, you didn't. Maybe you did. I don't know. But dude, yeah.
Luckily, I got away.
There's something that always sticks with me when we shoot these, whether it's live to tape, or pre-recorded the way Frankie's doing it right now, is that I really try to loosen up, but I try not to get too loose, because when you get too loose, that's when you say the really dumb thing.
Stuff starts falling out.
So yeah, stuff starts falling out, and now you have
that anyway.
Yeah, and now you're demonetized. Your family relationships are in jeopardy, and you have a warrant out for your arrest. So I'm trying to avoid all that.
Yeah, you don't want to be in that position.
No one ever does. I've never been to jail, but someone once told me that I am too pretty for jail.
Well, it hadn't turned out.
Which, speaking of jail, I thought of all the times to tell you this would be the right time. I've never seen the movie Smokey and the Bandit.
You should be ashamed of yourself.
I was thinking about it. I was thinking about it while I was the day that was bringing it down to Malta, and Eastbound and Down came on, which banger fucking song. But Eastbound and Down came on, I was like, yeah, this is from Smokey and the Bandit. I know that, but that's all I know.
Right.
And I keep telling myself I'm gonna have an opportunity to watch Smokey and the Bandit, and
I think it's free on one of the streaming services.
It probably is.
I think the first and second one are.
There's multiple Smokies and or Bandits.
There are 3 Smokey and Bandit movies,
Okay.
and they get progressively worse. There's they're transporting an elephant in either the second or the third one. The whole thing is the trials and tribulations of transporting this elephant in an 18-wheeler.
At what point does it stop being Burt Reynolds just doing cool stuff to it becoming like what the transporter was trying to be?
At what point does it change to that?
Yeah, like what was, so obviously in the first one I know it's that bootleg liquor.
Right.
It's that good old moonshine. What are they hauling in the second one? Is it something?
I think the second one it might be the elephant.
If that's the jump from 1 to 2, what could the third possibly be?
Beer, elephant.
Like what is that? What is the third Pokemon evolution?
Yeah, where does that pattern go? Where's the progression?
So, alcohol, exotic animal. What?
This is starting to sound like a Rick Ross song.
Dude, now that
I think every Rick Ross song, he says exotic. Oh shit, I can't remember there's exotic. There's an expensive car. He has to say Maybach. I saw a video about this once. Like every Rick Ross song has these 4 points in it. I'll have to check out that. We'll get back to more information on that.
So you do some independent research on that. Oh goodness. And I just thought about it a little after you got here, and it was one of the first things I wrote down here. But I've kind of wanted to kind of throw Nick, like kind of just shove Nick into the door at Mirth Films because he doesn't have a useless degree like I do in the film world, but he's very tech savvy. He knows how to use technology. So over the summer, the end of the summer, I had inadvertently double booked, and I had to go to my buddy's wedding in super bumfuck Vermont, and I'd asked you to film for me for one day as you and Frankie shot Eastbound Throwdown,
which was a fantastic festival. I
Yeah,
recommend checking that out this year. What is it, August?
It's normally the second weekend of September. And to those of you who are fans of Eastbound Jesus, they are playing at Rock the Dock this year. Which, if you're not excited about that, I don't know what will get
You can't be excited about anything.
Yeah, exactly. That's gonna be a great. It's gonna be a great fucking lineup. You have, pretty sure you have Hilltop. If not, I'll blurb that part out. So possibly Hilltop. Eastbound Jesus, just the Washington County cult following bluegrass madmen, and to finish it all off, Galactic headlining it. Just great jams all night. We were very lucky to have Luke Dow come on to one of our more recent podcasts, Cheap Place and Cornbread. Check that out if this is a little too lowbrow for you. And Luke Dow is a great person to talk to because normally when you think of like, hey, my family owns fucking steamboats, you expect him to have that little bit of like, what's the word, the je ne sais quoi. Like, they're these entitled pieces of human garbage. But Luke is an awesome person to just sit down and talk to.
I just always think of the old Mickey Mouse commercials.
The old Mickey Mouse commercials?
Or not commercials, the old Mickey Mouse cartoons.
Like
Steamboat Willie, I think it was.
When you think of the Lake George Steamboat Company?
Just steamboats in general.
You just think of.
I think of the black and white cartoons. They're all bouncing up and down.
Everyone's whistling while they work.
Yeah.
Like,
by the way, there's a lot of nasty things in those old cartoons.
Allegedly.
I would encourage you to do your own research.
I would encourage you to research it just for the sake of researching it, because that sounds like a fun time. And that's something, especially, like I've heard it phrased so many different ways, but nostalgia glasses are the hell of a thing. Because, I mean, I've definitely rewatched old cartoons, or even old like movies I watched when I was a child. And watching it now, it's just like, holy shit, a lot of this really
comparison
slips over your head. And sometimes it doesn't hold up. And I hate to say it, when Taylor and I first moved in here, we rewatched All That. Kind of lame.
I don't think I've ever seen it.
All That was the Nickelodeon attempt at sketch comedy.
Okay.
And they would have, I think they had like the same.
Kind of like the Amanda Show.
The Amanda Show. So Amanda Bynes got her start in All That.
Okay.
All That was a little bit of a precursor. Like there was still, like you could tell it was before, like whoever it was, the powers that be in the network realized like, hey, we are a predominantly children audience because there's this one skit with then like mainstay of All That, Lori Beth Denberg, who says something basically along the lines of her being on suicide watch. And it's like, oh god, dude, this is a children's program. Let's at least wait until.
Is that going too far?
Yeah, is this going? How does legal feel about this? Great. How does marketing feel about this? Great. Fine. Let it rip. Normally, people shouldn't feel that way until like they get their first My Chemical Romance album, which for me it was like 13.
That was the first time I ever cried.
First time I ever cried on my own, like not being hurt or not being
on my own, not with someone else's help.
But yeah, on my own self-infliction. Trying to think. Like without outside influence, I was 14. Just got Xbox Live. It was the summer. My parents were at work. My brother was out with his friends.
Everything was coming together.
Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2. So I had like my setup downstairs, my lawn chair, I had like a couple drinks with me, bag of Doritos, and I knew the only other thing I needed to bring with me is a cordless phone. But as I'm like,
yeah, at the time you had to bring a cordless phone.
yeah. So because my cell phone at that time, cell phone sitting at the reception downstairs,
Right.
traditionally. So
When you couldn't call on Wi-Fi.
yeah. Well, I mean, dude, this was back when I had
When the iPhone came out.
I had the Pantech Flex. It was like their version. It was a touchscreen front, then it had the sliding keyboard. I had so much fun just playing with that I broke it within a year.
I remember when Patrick got the Samsung Rogue, I think it was. The first when they had a distinction between regular cell phones, multimedia phones, and then they just started coming out with smartphones. But the smartphones were so much more expensive than the multimedia phones.
Yeah.
There was like the Droid 1 coming out, so I actually don't even remember what the first actual smartphone was, but
I don't think I do either. But from what I heard stories from like one of my, I guess you could say, supplementary wrestling coaches in high school, Coach Hughes Smith, was telling me.
Was he out of Whitehall?
No, Hughes Smith was Coach Brissett's like friend.
Okay.
They were both in the Marines, and he, if I remember correctly, Coach Smith, if you're out there and I'm wrong, just text me about it, I guess. But I think he used to coach the Castleton, Vermont's wrestling program, and he was just a cool dude. Like, always had like the silk shiny bald head, the goatee. And like he was such a smooth talker too. Like you could never hear anger in his voice, as he's like fucking pulling you 7 different ways and throwing you on your back, as he's giving gentle like
With a smile on his
like
face.
David Attenborough Planet Earth level instruction. But he said that he bought the first touchscreen phone provided by Sprint, and at that point in time, I don't know what the original like touchscreen phones are made out of. Like what the first iPhone was, that actual glass? Was that a tempered glass? Was it like plexiglass?
I really don't know, but I think the iPhone was the first touchscreen phone.
It was not.
Really?
It was a phone from Sprint. Well, okay, it was. If it wasn't the first, it at least was a predecessor to the OG iPhone.
Right.
But he said that the screen was basically like, so you know how glass is technically like a liquid.
Yeah.
And like, so when you see older painted glass, you see
The
it
bottom
like
of it is wider.
Yeah.
Than the top.
So imagine something more, a higher extreme of gelatinous nature.
Okay.
So he was on his bike, like at the end of the fall, but it was like almost freezing weather outside, and his fucking touchscreen froze. Couldn't even use it. Had to like throw it in his pocket and try and warm it up and call someone because he was out of gas or something like that.
Right. Which can still happen now with your phone if it gets too cold.
Yeah. I've never had that happen. I've had it. My phone get too hot a couple of times, like over the summer. You run into someplace quick. It's like
leave your phone on your seat in your car.
Yeah.
And it's on
And
fire.
when you have a black car with no ventilation whatsoever, no heat, no AC. That warning sign is so like, I don't know. It's kind of like when you keep setting off the fire alarms. You're like, dude, there's no real fire. I'm not gonna die. But
Until you do.
yeah, until you do.
Until there is a fire.
Yeah, the one time you press your fucking snooze, just when it really mattered that you didn't. But yeah, so yeah, pre basement cell phone reception days. So I'm looking for a cordless phone, and they just do not fucking exist. My parents, to this day, my parents still have a house phone and 2 fucking cordless phones.
With the same message on the answering machine.
Yeah, my mom has not changed that since like Obama was in office, and she probably, and I could imagine.
I would say before that.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, probably when like
2008.
Probably when McCain and
we would have been 12.
No, it's changed since then. Because we got a new answering machine since then.
Oh, you're like forced to change it.
Yeah. At that point,
You had to record.
There was no cloud for answering machines. There was no like Google voicemail drive
Right.
for recording a voicemail. So begrudgingly, I bet my mother just did it in one take. Was like, they fucking know who it is. They're
Hopefully they don't.
if
Hopefully they don't leave a message.
Yeah, I would strongly prefer if they don't leave a message and if they stop contacting us. I don't give a shit who it is. But yeah, so I'm searching frantically for a cordless phone, and then the phone goes off. Thank Christ, because this is at a time when phones always had ringers. But I sprint into my parents' bedroom, and as I do that, I hit the door frame, and my pinky toe does one of these.
Oh no.
And it didn't hit me at first. And it was my grandmother calling. I was like, "Grandma, listen, I think I just broke my fucking pinky toe. Let's regroup on this." She's like, "Oh my god, are you okay?" I'm like, nope. And I hang up. Go into the freezer. Grab like a Stewart's bag of ice, and I basically butt scoot downstairs, get into my gaming station, throw on my headset, like, join the party. Like, just so you know, I think I broke a toe. If I play bad, it's because I'm trying to.
I think I was playing with you at that time.
You probably were.
I feel like I remember being in the lobby and you having a problem with your toe.
Dude, it was rough. It was quite rough.
Yeah, down in the basement. Yeah, I remember that game setup.
Yeah, it was great. We had a TV from like pre 1993. Like we still had like the red, white, yellow setup.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have a need for a fucking HDMI cord until like 2014, and then finally I got out of nowhere for Christmas. They didn't even ask for it. I got a 32-inch TV with no, I don't know what that's called. I don't know if
It starts with a C, I think.
the 3-prong.
Yeah.
Either I'm just gonna call it red, yellow, white until we get proper notification. But dude, up until then, HDMI's just did not matter to me, and that was where I was getting all this. I cried more out of anger. I was just like, I am that fucking stupid. I did this, and there is no one to blame but myself. I can't even be like, Mom, why the fuck do you have the cordless phone up on the base? Why?
Why is it fully charged?
Yeah, why
exactly
is it
where it's
fully?
supposed to be?
Yeah. Why did you take steps out of your day to make sure this phone was charged?
How people are going to leave us messages?
Yeah, they can't leave messages if the phone is dead. Probably.
Well, at least you can't listen to it.
Yeah. It was a simpler time. There was a lot of trials and tribulations in being another family in rural upstate New York who just didn't really care to talk to people.
Which is, I feel like that's what a lot of people look for, man. I mean, they're generally nice, but everybody, like, doesn't seem like anybody wants to talk to each other, which is, I prefer to live that way.
Do
To
you?
be honest. Yeah. As many mundane conversations as I can avoid in a day, I will. And I mean, and maybe that's part of our upbringing from growing up there. Maybe that's why I feel that way. I'm assuming that's part of it.
Yeah. I mean, when you are not forced to be put into these small talk situations, small talk really fucking blows.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
because you never actually care.
Yeah, what you're doing is you are saying enough things to placate them. Like if you like
Does them
say,
to not think that you're a serial killer.
yeah, exactly. Or like I don't know. I had a neighbor when I was living in Plattsburgh. I lived in this apartment complex above a car wash.
Yep.
Our neighbors, dude, I could tell you what fucking episode of that '70s show they were watching. Those walls were thin and they must have had hearing problems. So I knocked on the door one day and they were just like, it seemed like they were starved for human attention outside from like themselves. And so I'm just like, hey man, like being polite, it's like, hey, how's it going? And they made the fatal flaw of communication 101. They actually told me how it's going.
Oh, you never tell someone how your day is.
There's two acceptable answers. There's good, there's all right.
Yeah, not bad.
Yeah, something that is either, what's the word? Like carbon copy, like stamped, positive,
Generic.
Super generic, exactly. Like
Something to end the conversation.
yeah, something
That's how I want your day to go.
something that doesn't leave room for a follow up.
Right.
How's it going? Good.
Good. You? Good.
Yeah.
Done.
Perfect. And then from there, you go in and you make your, hey, this is why I'm this big. No, dude. I learned so much about their cat. I learned so much about the fucking tapestries they had up on their wall. I learned
Of course,
how much.
if they're watching that 70s show, you have to have a tapestry hung on the wall.
It's kind of a rite of passage at that point. I learned about how much they loved their landlord, which I mean I liked my landlord. It was weird because he was like 2 years younger than me, and I felt like it was kind of like having Gary V as the person you write your check to, where he's just like sitting there like you're paying $925 a month and you don't even own this place,
Right.
dude. Sell all your belongings, sell your car, walk to work, walk to college. Think about how much money you're saving on car insurance, dude. Sell your plates, eat off paper towels, wash your paper towel. Like, I gotta thank Tim Dillon for saying this because I have a personal vendetta against Gary Vee. Only because Gary Vee does not understand a very crucial thing about like the standard deviation of human beings. There is not a business in all of us. We are not all leaders. Some of us need to fall into line. I hope it's not me, but if at some point, like 20 years down the line, I realize, fuck, I could have already had 15 years in a McDonald's. I could have made me a manager by now.
Yeah.
Like something like that. Like, dude, not every person's a fucking entrepreneur.
Right.
Oh yeah. I think that's a reality. I think more people need to come to grips with. I don't blame anyone for giving it a try, but dude, if I had $1 for every time someone tried to sell It Works or like more Cutco knives, the greatest knives that could be sold to you at your door,
right?
Or the new one I'm seeing,
Avon.
Avon was honest. Avon was honest, I think.
Don't quote me on that.
Because it wasn't like Avon. I think their gimmick is you get like I don't think you ever got directly paid. I think you got free product. Like
that sounds awful.
Well, it's great if you like Avon products. Well, think about it. How many people do you know who smoked pot and sold pot just so they could be self-sufficient?
Quite a few.
So
I mean, there was a point in time where it seemed like everyone that smoked weed sold weed.
Yeah.
If they had enough to sell you, then they sold weed.
It was the art. It was the art of self-preservation at that point.
Right.
Fuck. I just paid $300 for this ounce because that was once a going rate.
Yeah.
Which that I'm so happy that I wasn't there.
$50.08.
Dude, yeah. So, I guess point being, like, you kind of have to liken it to that. Whereas, like, It Works, Cutco Knives, and this new one, Herbalife. Herbalife has, like, active cases in, I don't know what kind of court. I think it's part of a class action thing, like the whole, like the McDonald's coffee cup ordeal.
Right.
But, dude, like, a lot of these, like, essential products or whatever that make Herbalife protein powders.
I think it's like Young Living or something.
Young Living. Tell me about Young Living.
Well, I think it's another one of they basically just sell essential oils. I think the name's Young Living. But there's two major groups that sell all those essential oils, and I know one of them was getting in trouble because basically, I mean, it's a pyramid scheme is really all it was. You recruit somebody to sell stuff, you make commission off of their stuff. But the problem was like 99% of all the money that was coming in was going to the top 1 or 2% of people in that chain. Once you get down past a certain point, there's no way for you to profit off of it.
Yeah, I think it was that only. I think yes, I remember this because I think the two most alarming statistics, the 1%, that 1% stat line is crazy. The 4% stat line, people who make their money back.
Oh yeah,
that's not turning a profit. That is dropping $1,000 on fucking essential oils for your snake and your fucking stepdaughter, and just making your money back because you found someone else who has the same snake and a different stepdaughter. It's like no, it's a ridiculous like setup. And I think one of the hardest parts about getting caught in a pyramid scheme is how fucking embarrassing it must feel as a seller. Because, dude, how many times has someone sold you on something, at least in the moment, and you're like, Hey, maybe,
Right, yeah.
maybe
You have to
Avon.
step back, almost like clear your head, come back at the same thing, and be like, wait, does that really make sense?
Yeah. Did I just waste $500 on essential oils that aren't gonna make me live forever?
Somehow I survived my entire life without
Yeah.
before, but how could I survive without them?
Now I actually feel a little worse for having taken them. Yeah, it's crazy. It's a crazy world to really take a step back and see that we are all participating in. Like I think it was P.T. Barnum, like half of Barnum and Bailey.
Hmm.
I think it was him of the two that said, there's a sucker born every minute.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I have not found enough of them. They're too busy buying Cutco knives and It Works products. But yeah, Herbalife, dude. There are businesses in this Tri-County area that use Herbalife products. Like, even though there's these active class action suits about not even just the fact they don't work, the fact that they're causing negative effects. That's the scary part of it.
Well, I mean, we're basically in an information crisis right now, which kind of ties into that. I mean, everybody gets their information from, you have 1,000 different sources, and there's no way to check, there's no way to factually check anything, it seems like, without actually having been in a situation or seen it with your own eyes, because you don't know where anybody's information's coming from.
Dude, it's a weird world that we live in. That's why I do my best to just not engage in any of it or try my hardest not to. Sometimes I see something so fucking ridiculous that I kind of like put on my boots. I'm like, I'm gonna stay up all night. I'm gonna crack like a monster. Like I'm ready for these people. Let's let these comment wars begin.
By the time Taylor wakes up, there's holes everywhere.
Yeah,
in every wall.
There's newspapers tacked to the wall and like pieces of thread holding them together. Well, as I turn the podcast shoot into like a beautiful mindset, and I'm all doing it just to stop the communists.
Well, of course they need to be stopped.
Dude, it's a very I couldn't have said it better myself. As broad of a statement as it is, it's a weird world we live in right now. Like if aliens visited us right now, dude, how I wouldn't even know where to start with like the any of it.
I think it was you that showed me that video the other day of Theo Vaughn talking about, well, he was asked a bunch of random questions and he had to give his best answer on them. And basically, he had to pick an ambassador for the human race if aliens were to come here to meet us.
Manny Pacquiao.
Yep.
Savage boxer.
Of all people in the world, Manny Pacquiao is going to be the ambassador of the world.
I think Rogan is the easy answer.
Right, yeah. Maybe The Rock.
The Rock. Trying to think of who else. I bet. Yeah, The Rock. The Rock is another strong one. Maybe someone who's just a super duper nice person.
Yeah, like very wholesome.
Keanu Reeves.
Yeah, Keanu Reeves.
Yeah. If you guys have, if at any point you guys are hearing us talk about who we think should represent the Earth in the event that aliens do come by, if you have better ideas, let me know. I'm not going to read them right away.
And maybe it could be you.
It could be you. Maybe we do a sweepstakes. How would you like to represent Earth
during the alien invasion?
Yeah, Independence Day 3. And hopefully by then the age of the internet will still exist, and even after we've all been like vaporized by those like blue beams, they'll still find a way to like intercept our technology and look at this and be like, yeah, we did the right thing here.
Yeah. This can't go on.
Yeah, this is they lost me as soon as they started talking about TikTok. I don't know. Actually, I don't know.
TikTok is awful.
I don't know if that would be the anti-selling point, but God, it would be pretty close. I would say either TikTok or people who are strictly social media influencers.
Right.
Like, I mean, I don't know if you've seen the Truman Show.
I've seen parts of it. I actually was thinking about that the other day that I want to go and watch the whole thing. But I get the concept.
Yeah. Like, I mean, granted, this is a movie. This is Jim Carrey. But don't you think that there's some element of truth to that it's got to be completely fucking traumatizing to have your whole world be nothing more than a media production and a commodified good of entertainment value? And that was because he wasn't aware of it.
Right.
Like how low on yourself, or how off are your senses of value that you have no problem making your day to day life a social media broadcast?
Isn't that what we're doing right now?
I mean, yeah, but we're doing this for 1 hour every 2 weeks.
Right, not our entire
Yeah,
life.
we're not like. I imagine we might go get like an early dinner, late lunch after this. You know what we're not gonna do? Take Snapchats of it. You know what we're not gonna do afterward? Like, boot this up right after we just had like 5 cocktails and like $100 worth of sushi.
Oh, that's
Which
not
I'm honestly, I'm feeling sushi or hibachi.
Mm-hmm.
If the portion sizes of hibachi weren't so crazy, I would say I'd want to do both. But
Well, I know. Well, it's too late for that now. But Mikado, their lunch hibachi is like half the price of their dinner hibachi, and like the only difference is I think you get like half the amount of meat, and then it doesn't come with a salad or something like that. But it's the whole thing's half price. It's like $16
damn,
for a filet hibachi lunch.
man, I learned something new today. I've been thinking about that a lot too. Sushi, specifically, because um, I'm really good with chopsticks, and it's a dumb thing because like I have kind of gotten this strange sense of pride like bartending, and I'll just be sitting back there like watching the NCAA March Madness, and I'll be just like eating sushi flawlessly. And these people, these uncultured people who I love you guys, but these uncultured people are just like, wow, how do you do that? Okay, I only have one pen here, but the art of using chopsticks is not difficult. It is when you're using nicotine pens, but no, I can't do it. I know where my
Wow, fantastic.
I know where my limitations are. But dude, Sushi Wa, Fort Everett. Taylor and I went there. God, probably 6 months ago, 7 months ago. When I tell you that I went in and made them my bitch for that all you can eat sushi, I did not eat anything before. And I was up early too for some reason. I did not eat anything before. I did not eat anything after for like another whole day. And I was just like feeling great.
I can only imagine that toilet trip that you must have had afterwards.
Dude, it wasn't that bad. It was passable. I mean, more ways than one.
Sure, it was very easily passable.
Yeah. uh, but it's so. I love sushi. I love the combinations that some of these places throw together. Like how they get creative with it.
Do the Fort Edward roll.
I don't even know what's in the Port Everett roll.
Neither do I.
Is it like toxic waste from the old GE plant?
It's full of PCBs.
Full of PCBs and like just like shavings of lead from the GE plant, and then like one junkie spit out.
Heroin.
Yeah, yeah, and then just one little dribble of heroin, all wrapped up in in like the 99-cent like
And
Job 40 rolling papers.
I was gonna say wrapped up in an old Coke bag.
No, Coke's too expensive. In the words of Dana White.
Well, they lick it clean first.
Yeah. Dude, someone came into Peters the other night and said, I don't want to stay here long. I don't want to get Hep C.
That's fair.
I felt personally offended because, like, Sean Beers, by the way, I call him my bar dad, person who taught me how to bartend. Sean Beers and I rip on everyone and every walk of life that comes into that bar, and we shit on Peters a lot. But we do it because we can. We work there.
It's like talking shit about your own family. You can
Yeah,
do
exactly.
your
Yeah, exactly. As soon as someone else tells me my brother doesn't have a chin, I might like have to start
start throwing
going like Wanderlei Silva on them.
And now he's got a Chuck Norris chin.
Dude, yeah, he's an animal. You know, Chuck Norris can unscramble eggs.
I didn't know that. I believe it.
Dude, you ever see memes on any form of social media?
Yeah.
And you love
Once or
them,
twice.
and like maybe you send them to your other half, and then immediately after you realize, wait a minute, there's levels to this that I have to run her up to speed to
Right.
before before we get to her understanding this.
Like a really highly specific meme.
Yeah, like anything. What was there's one I was just thinking about. I literally, dude, I just looked at it when I was outside as I was coming upstairs from grabbing the good hacksaw. Oh, yeah, it was a meme about the Kennedy assassination, actually.
Oh,
And I was just like, I hope she gets it. I hope she gets it. I hope she gets it. She did. But then
God. That would have been a deal breaker.
it made me think about no, because of like the historical context of it. Like hopefully anyone who has completed some of the New York State educational system knows that like John F. Kennedy was killed, but um,
That one was Lee Harvey Oswald, right?
Lee Harvey Oswald, yes,
Supposedly.
if you believe
Or
that,
allegedly.
yeah. But that also, in order to believe Lee Harvey Oswald having it be one shooter, you have to believe in the magic bullet theory.
Because what could it not hit? Was it the entry point?
There was more. There were more pieces of bullet in, like, still stuck in John F. Kennedy than there were shots that hit people in that car. And I think it was like the Surgeon General, someone high up in the cabinet, basically called it the magic bullet theory. That's something we'll have to expand on before I get way too like go far down there rabbit hole and be totally wrong. But that's the next episode. We're going down magic bullet, and God, dude, we're almost at an hour. So I think maybe we start winding down a little bit. I'm gonna do my dumb promotions quick. Obviously, check out the Cheap Lights and Cornbread podcast, airing every Wednesday at 7 p.m. On Mirth Films YouTube channel. Want to give a thank you to Joe Mansman and John Hughes. With their combined efforts, I was able to cartoonify myself again as I go from the world of making cartoons on the internet to making a dumb podcast on the internet. And once again, I'm going to plug the posters. Get them. Not stamping my dick on anymore. That was a one-time thing. And
At least for the
also, if you are into the world of psychedelics, 4/19 Bicycle Day. Very important day in the world of research following psychedelic drugs. Dopapod is playing at Putnam Place.
Dopapod. That's an awesome name.
It is a. I like them a lot. I've only seen them a couple of times, but I've always had fun. Mondays, I run poker at Sully's East, Bella Sully's Tavern, located 214 Maple Street in Glens Falls. If you guys just want to go have a drink at one of the only bars left in the state with a smoking room, I work at Peter's Pub Sundays and Tuesdays from 7 p.m. to 3 in the morning. And I think that's it for me. Nick, do you have anything else you want to plug before we start the...
Well, if you end up going to Peter's to see Brett, I may be there hanging out. Probably not. But I might be there. As far as plugging things, I was really excited when I went on Facebook today and saw that June 2nd this year at the Strand Theater, I'll have to come back to you with a time because obviously I'm not very organized. Reelin' in the Years, celebrating the music of Steely Dan. And I am very excited for that. Also, what I'm excited for is Wingfest coming up in April 10, I think? Maybe on your birthday?
If it's on my birthday, I will find a way to go.
Well, it's from 12 to 3, I know, on a Saturday in Glens Falls. But I didn't get to go last year.
Well, that's not a Saturday. Well, that's not my birthday, and that's not a time I'm awake.
Well, it's not the 10th then.
It's not the time. You rule that out. It's normally one of the last weekends of April, I'm pretty sure. As the weather starts to get...
The 29th, maybe?
It could be. Your guess is as good as mine.
But 29th
does fall on a Saturday.
But I am not affiliated with any of those things. I just thought that they sounded like great things to do.
Right. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this. And just one last thing that I wanted to talk about. The last thing that I threw on my world's smallest piece of paper and what really triggered me to want to talk about it again was the whole John F. Kennedy thing. Oh, hold on, please. I need some need some more notes just to expand upon here. But obviously, people who know me know that I have some very extreme beliefs. I don't talk about most of them online because I don't want to demonetize Mirth Films. I don't want everyone to think I'm crazy. I just want the people really close to me to understand that maybe I have some screws loose. I've always had a deep appreciation for dumb conspiracy theories. Do you have a dumb conspiracy theory that you enjoy? You don't not necessarily believe, but one that you enjoy.
Now, dumb as in like easily falsifiable.
As in like whether or not it's true, the premise of it and like its existence. I don't know. I guess I'll tell you mine and then see if that helps you jump in. So the Finland isn't real conspiracy. And this one, so the Finland isn't real conspiracy exists as a mathematical consequence of the global census.
Okay.
So Finland's population as a country, I don't know the exact number, but I know it's like 0.49% of the global population. So the global population, that number is given every so often with a 5% margin of error, one way or the
That's
other.
huge.
That is huge, but think about how many underdeveloped countries have to give a number. Think about what type of resources that would take in certain countries, and then especially considering, I don't know, how many people get born and die every given point.
Right, and people in like third world countries, I mean, they're not being born in a hospital and given the social security number.
Yeah, they're not paying taxes, which I envy that, but
I do.
but yeah, so because of this global 5% margin of error, there's a 50-50 chance Finland does not exist. As a logical consequence of like the global census bureau's calculations.
Now there have to be other countries that would fit in that
are exactly 0.5%.
or that are less than 5%. I mean, any country that's less than 5%, you could argue.
Oh no, I'm sorry. I was very wrong. I was wrong on the numbers. I moved the decimal point in the wrong place. Finland's population is 0.5%.
And the margin of error is 0.5%.
The margin of error is 0.5%.
Gotcha.
Okay, so that's way.
I was like 5% margin of error.
Because I mean, we're at like 8 million people right now.
Right. So yeah, but what's 5% of that?
400 million.
That's the United States. The United States couldn't. There would be a possibility that we don't exist at that point.
Yeah. the entire world is actually just India, China, Brazil, and then like
Russia. Oh, you just named. Isn't that new group that they formed called like Crib? I think.
Oh,
China,
yeah.
Russia, India.
It's basically a new
or BRIC they call it.
Yeah. Brazil, Russia, India, China. I'm pretty sure, but essentially it exists as a kind of like a newer version of OPEC.
Okay.
So OPEC, and it's like when the 1970s had the gas crises. It was primarily Middle Eastern countries, but then Venezuela kind of like found its way in there, which I mean totally checks out with. I mean Brazil finding its way in there too. For one, how undiscovered the Amazon is.
Right.
Dude, there's probably so many. Dude, Elon Musk could probably like just dig his foot an inch into the ground and find a whole Tesla battery just sitting there waiting to be touched. So yeah, it definitely does have some interesting possibilities for the future of like the global political climate and global import export. But I don't really know enough about it. Guess we'll have to see what like the first season of it has in store and work from there.
Yeah.
But
the first season of reality.
Yeah, first season. Yeah.
That's reality TV for you.
Yeah. The newest reality TV coming from
a nuclear missile depot near you.
Goddamn right. So do you have a dumb conspiracy theory?
I don't think I do. I'm gonna have to think on that one.
Fantastic. And just because I thought of it, off the top of your head, one celebrity you could do without for the rest of your life. 3, 2, 1, go.
MGK.
MGK.
Yeah, he dresses weird now.
It's been very interesting seeing the whole Megan Fox escapade unfold, and I don't really know anything about it. I just know Machine Gun Kelly is a strange man. He is one of the first musicians that's seen stuck in two genres,
Yeah.
which I hate pop punk personally.
Oh, it's terrible.
I will go out of my way to say that. Like I have maybe 4 songs that I will listen to like ironically, like All Signs Point to Lauderdale.
Right,
Like,
yeah.
or-
If it's not A Day to Remember, or like, I guess
That
My
one.
Chemical Romance would be pop punk too, right?
Punk.
Oh, just punk.
Considered alt punk by some standards. I
Pop
don't know.
punk.
Not that I listen to that much either, but yeah, dude, the scope of music has changed a lot just in our adulthood. And if I had to pick anything to actually close this podcast on, Jelly Roll is emo music for people who live in a trailer, and pop punk is music for people who didn't have a good relationship with their parents. Thank you guys for watching episode 1. Let's hope we're allowed to do another one. Be safe out there. And I'm stealing this from Cheap Lights and Cornbread because I love saying it. Smoke 'em if you got 'em.